Hey guys, today I'm going to show you guys how you make like a drop shadow or a shadow effect with something you put into a picture. So here we have like a beautiful sunny day, and as you can see, that sun, if you look at the pole here on the ground, will create a shadow effect. And so what we want to do is kind of mimic something like that with something we put in. So I'm going to use this woman in this picture. I went select subject, I'm going to copy her, and I'm going to paste her into the picture. And now I can kind of reposition her the way I want, kind of size her up, kind of as if we got out of the car and we're posing for a picture here on this sunny day. So now, once I got her there, obviously we need a shadow for it to kind of have an effect as if she was really there. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to click on her layer, I'm going to click the effects, and I'm going to add a drop shadow. Drop shadow menu is going to come up, and we're going to make sure everything here is set to 0. We want to make sure that this is set to zeros, and the opacity bar is at 100%, and we're using the color black. Now, what you don't realize is there's actually a shadow hidden behind her, and we can't see it just yet because it's all attached to the layer, so we have to separate these layers. So what I do here is I click on the effects, and I right-click, and then I click Create a Layer, which is located right here. It's going to say, hey, you sure it might mess things up? You go, okay. And now I have a shadow behind her. I've separated them. Now the shadow is going to be flipped over, so I'm going to take that layer and I'm going to either click right here to flip it, or I can go Edit, Transform, and Flip vertically, and I can create a shadow being cast. Now we got a little bit of work to do and stuff like that, but for the most part we can kind of position it so it's right underneath her, attached to her shoes, like shadows should be. If you ever walk outside and find your shadow not doing that, I would probably scream and run. Now, if you notice, the angle of this shadow is kind of going off to the right, but ours is very straight, so we need to change that by first clicking on it. Sometimes you can right click and get the menu. If not, you would just go Edit, Transform, and Skew. And why we're doing that is we're going to skew it to the right. We're going to kind of match the angle of this shadow. And it's good to use pictures where there's shadows already in there to kind of give you perspective of where the light is and how it's going to be cast. And once you get it where you like it, you can click Done. You can also warp it and do different things like that too by clicking Edit, Transform, and Warp. I'm not a big warp fan, but you can do that. Now, before we do it, we need to get this a little blurry. Shadows in this case probably aren't going to be that. So we do that by clicking Filter, Blur Gallery, and Field Blur. This is kind of an interesting little tool, but right here we have this tool that pops up, and as you crank this wheel around, watch your shadow, and it will get more and more blurry. It kind of takes the whole shape and blurs it. So you judge to what level you like it to be. I kind of like that one. And when you get it to a blurriness that you like, you can come up here and click OK. And it'll do the math, it'll do its kind of generating, and now I have a blurry shadow. But the shadow's still really dark. And shadows kind of start dark at the bottom, and they fade as they move away. So we're going to give this a good faded look to it. And we're going to do that by adding a mask. We're going to add a layer mask. Make sure your colors are set to black and white. If not, hit the letter D to replace it. Again, if you hit the letter D, they'll switch. And then we're going to use the gradient tool. And the gradient tool has this fading effect going on. And this stock one's pretty good. They have different options, but this is kind of the one we're going for. And how this tool works is you're going to kind of click and drag. And it's going to take a little bit of practice to kind of get the hang of it. But you can kind of just play around with it. But you just click and drag, and you can kind of see how it starts out strong and then fades as it moves away. And you can drag it further, you can drag it closer, you can do all sorts of different things, and you just kind of have to keep your eye on it. And then one more thing you can do is you can play with the opacity bar of that layer as well to kind of create another effect too. And just like that, I've now imported a subject to my picture and created a shadow that's fairly realistic from what it was. And then ultimately you can change the brightness of your picture by adjusting its brightness levels, its contrast, and different things like that, trying to make it look like it fits into the picture. Thanks, everyone.